On this week's episode of the Peach Life podcast, we are joined by Anthony Montelongo with Certified RV Solutions. Join us as we talk about some of the things you can do to keep your rig maintained properly and some practical tips for both new and experienced RV owners. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for new episodes each week. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Audible. Anthony, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. I have Anthony here from Certified RV Solutions. I'm super excited to kind of get into your story of, how you decided to become a technician for RVs. And, so yeah, if you just want to get started with, what brought you into kind of the RV lifestyle and then kind of continue down into deciding to even make that your profession as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. It's a real honor and a pleasure to be here. Like we mentioned before, I love, talking to grassroots people. That's where I come from. I've been in the business for just under a year, my personal business under a year, but in this lifestyle about that time. I'm not going to lie, definitely an opportunist. I saw a need, right? With COVID, when that hit, traveling went away, and people don't like to just sit at home. So the RV industry exploded. And my stepdad called me and said, "Hey, boy, look at becoming an RV technician, an RV inspector. There's a huge need for it." And growing up, that was not a lifestyle I knew. So I said, "Okay," kind of apprehensive. Started calling people, started talking to people. And sure enough, and these are 2012 numbers, there was about 500 RVs to every one technician. So
Wow.
right there, I mean, you were talking almost 10-year-old data, and you can see there's quite the opportunity for someone who wants to do this. And so I started calling around and got a hold of a gentleman in Texas when I used to live in Texas. His name is Don Baker of Don Baker RV Inspections. One of the nicest people I've ever met. He spent a lot of time with me on the phone, explaining to me the process of becoming a certified RV inspector or a certified RV technician. He pointed me to the NRVTA, the National RV Training Academy in Athens, Texas. And long story short, I went there for a 5-week training course. I mean, all day, super in depth. We lived, eat, sleep, breathe RVs all day long. Took my certification test, passed it, and went to work for an RV dealership for a while, which I highly recommend. If you want to get into this lifestyle, this profession, go work at a dealership because you can go touch 10, 12, 30 different things in a given week.
Okay.
And of course, like anything, real world application is different than classroom learning. And so that just kind of catapulted my knowledge and my hands-on experience tremendously. And in this profession, there are a lot of well, let me back up a little bit. In the RV world, there's not a whole lot of regulation outside of the propane side of things, right? RVs fall under the DOT, Department of Transportation, not HUD, right? With HUD, houses have tons of regulation. With RVs, it's still kind of the wild west of transportation. Cars, trucks, boats, homes are kind of built with a rhyme and a reason most of the time. RVs are not. You can, build them to minimal specs and you can get an RVIA sticker on it.
Yeah. I've seen
And
some of those.
you've seen it where they just slap it together and anyone and everyone, if you got, anyways. So there's a lot of, and I'm going to keep it to be nice, a lot of what you would call shade tree mechanics or fly by night mechanics. They show up, they slap some duct tape on it, they take your money, and they're changing their number every month, right? I want it to be different. I come from the business world, and so I thought long and hard about how I get into this. And I didn't want to back myself into a corner of only doing repairs or only doing one thing. So I came up with solutions. And so I see this as a platform, as a starting point to do a lot of different things in the future. But mainly, I love helping people. I, as I mentioned before, I have a fifth wheel. I love it. Me and my girlfriend take it camping anytime we can. We're going to go to Florida here next week. Um, and I know how often RVers have issues and how daunting it can be. And so I just like treating people well. Sometimes I walk away empty handed if I can't fix it or if I don't know exactly how to fix it. But I'm just trying to do things differently. I want to bring some trust and some honor to this profession, and that's where I come from.
Yeah, and that's great because I can imagine, and being in that position at times myself is when you're, especially with an RV or anything like that, that if you're stuck either on the road or somewhere, it's a very sticky situation. It's very uncomfortable. It's I mean, it's at time you're stuck on the side of the road or in all different kinds of weird situations. And so, having somebody good and professional that can come out, quickly be able to fix, whatever situation, because it's a massive undertaking when you are stuck and you either can't move or, I mean, it's like an issue with your house, whether it's your air heating, RV, or AC, anything like that. They can be major issues. And it's not as easy as just calling your local plumber, electrician, thing like that out to come fix. So having people out there that stick around, stay in the business and are there continually for customers in a certain area, because I mean, I'm sure you've found as you've had, kind of repeat customers, as you get those clients, they're going to go to you forever. People feel comfortable once you go to a mechanic you like, you want to stick with that, whatever, whether or a technician or anything. So yeah, it's nice to
Yes.
see, somebody out there that's putting their stamp, even their logo of approval on everything, saying, we're gonna be here, we're not going anywhere. So I love that. With getting, you said you came from the business world. So when you decided to make this switch, was this just a complete transition? Like, were you into mechanics or anything like this before that gave you any previous knowledge, or were you kind of going into this completely green?
Pretty much pretty green. I grew up in the residential home construction and remodeling business. Growing up, my grandfather opened the business back in the 80s before I was born. And my dad took it over. He started taking me to work with him when I was 9. My father focused more on the business entrepreneurial aspect. He took me to meetings with him to, hire and fire people, sales calls to local mixers, political events, etc. A couple days a week, he would send me out in the field with the guys to go, knock down walls, paint, pick up trash, actually get my hands dirty. So he instilled some good values in me. I knew the value of a dollar from a young age, but my father is more of the type of, you know, fix it with your mind, not your hands, right? He grew up very, very poor. Understandable. He never wanted me to go through that. And so as time went on, he helped me really develop in one aspect. And so I have taken the other side of things, right? I don't want to be stranded on the side of the road. I have had that before. It's a horrible feeling. And I don't want people to go through that. But the way RVs are built, it's going to happen. So if I can be that one, glimmer of hope or that one phone call that, a father or a mother can call someone and they've got a car full of kids and they're supposed to go to a state park or they're just trying to get home after a long weekend, if I can help them, get it together in terms of get their slide back in, get their levelers back up so that they can just get home and do a permanent fix once they get home, I'm happy to do that. And I love doing that. So to answer your question, mostly green to the mechanical side of things. Sorry, my puppy's having a little fun over here. He wants to get out and run around, and but that's all right. His name is
They
Rodeo.
always want.
They always want more.
Oh yeah. Well, with so you are in the Georgia area, or what area of Georgia are you in?
Absolutely. So my company is Certified RV Solutions. We're based in Ellijay, Georgia, the northwest, about an hour, hour and a half from Chattanooga. So we're north of Atlanta, about an hour to 45 minutes, an hour to North Carolina, couple hours to South Carolina, hour and a half. almost 2 hours to Alabama. So, but yeah, pretty far north in Georgia, and I love it. We're up in the mountains, the Appalachian Smoky Mountains area, and the people around here are really nice, and there's a lot of greenery, lots of beautiful mountains, and lots of fun places to go see and do.
Yeah, and now had you from listening to one of your other podcasts that you were on, so you guys made a big move from from Texas to Georgia, and specifically for this. I thought that was interesting to really kind of you were able to look at the market and see what there is, and then luckily it was able to work out with family and things like that. But that was kind of a big transition for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. I grew up as on the very like safe side of things, very risk averse growing up. But I had some family here. My mom, my stepdad were up in the LJ, North Georgia area. Um, but this is not by any means like the RV mecca, right? If you're thinking about doing this and you want to go somewhere where you've got like more RVs than you can ever count, the major hotspots in the country are going to be Florida, Arizona, California. Those are the ones where year round you'll have Texas too to a degree, but those are the ones all the time. Washington and Oregon as well, but they get pretty dang cold, and so some of the seasonally that they do go down. Actually, there's other companies here in this area, not necessarily in LJ, but in the Blue Ridge Mountain area, Blue Ridge, Blairsville, Hiawassee, etc., that during the winter they'll actually take their business, go down to Florida, and they'll just flip flop from summer, fall to winter, spring, and they just chase the good weather, and I think that's pretty cool. So when I really got going here, it was during the winter, the fall, winter. I was operating in a vacuum mostly, and there was enough business to keep me going, to hone my skills. Never went hungry. Never went. I wasn't jam packed busy, but February, March turned, and I'm blessed to be scheduled out about 2 weeks.
That's awesome. So yeah, it's really started, there's that snowball effect that really starts to kind of kick in, once referrals start happening, once kind of that just that snowball effect really does kind of continue to keep rolling on. uh,
Yes,
which is absolutely amazing. Now, do you guys? So you guys just live, like you don't live full time in your RV. Have you guys ever thought about being able to make that an entirely mobile, uh, you know, uh, kind of traveling thing where you guys can take your business with you all around the country, or
absolutely. And we toy with that sometimes. We actually were very, very close about a month ago of buying a brand new 2021 Keystone Montana. Uh, there were some issues with the financing because it's a fairly new business. My credit score is great, but the banks are like, "Oh, you're too risky." And so there were some issues there, but I think it was a blessing in disguise. Um, with COVID, they're pumping these out as quick as possible. So quality control, not RVs have never been known for
yeah,
quality, but quality control is like bottom of the list now. And so I think we'll kind of regroup and look at our options, maybe buy 1 or 2, maybe 3 years used. But yeah, we're by the end of this year, we want to go full time, either December or January. And in terms of toying with the idea of being a completely mobile lifestyle, work and play and live, absolutely.
yeah,
And kind of like the old like A/B testing. Like I like to test out what may or may not work. So for New Year's, we went over to North Carolina to stay at a park there. What I did is I sent some marketing materials to that area and actually had business waiting for me before I even left, right? Before I even hitched up, I had calls coming in, and that was pretty cool. And so I'm always trying different things, both print advertisement, online advertisement to get the word out, see what works, see what doesn't.
yeah,
And
that sounds like one that really can work really well. I mean, even as you kind of continue on, if you kind of know where you're going in advance, for a lot of times you can send out those feelers to all these different areas. Then when you kind of get to that area, already have people there waiting. That's
Exactly.
that's pretty
Exactly.
smart.
Now you got it's you got to do a little bit differently, right? Building a website that takes a long time, that takes traction. So you're going to have to do for pay per click, or you're going to have to do more immediate short run advertising, whether it's paper or online, to get that going. And there's no recipe for it, right? So it's trial and error. But yeah, if you know where you're going and you just set, okay, at this time and this many days, this many weeks, I'm going to be there, start to get ahead of it so that, hopefully you can have some work lined up by the time you get there or shortly after that.
Yeah, see that's great. Now, for people out there, what are, some of the kind of common things that you're running into where maybe people could save themselves some hassle, some common things people do wrong that end up being major mistakes down the line, or kind of some common fixes people could uh you know prevent against, whether it's with the black water or gray water or anything like that.
Sure. Great questions. And that's actually one thing we do is we offer new RV owner orientation, right? With 2020, a ton of people jumped into this for the first time. And it's great to see it. Not all dealerships give a proper walkthrough. So I've actually had a lot of customers say, hey, can you come out here and kind of show us a little preventative maintenance or show us what to do? And we love that. We love doing that. But okay, for your water heaters, there's two types, right? If you have a Suburban with the steel tank, change your anode rod, right? So that your tank doesn't rust out and you have to pay someone like me to come and change out your entire tank, right? Do a little things you can do for yourself to save hundreds or thousands of dollars down the road. Change your anode rods if you've got that Suburban style tank. Your slides, lubricate those gears. Your black tank, keep it closed until you're ready to dump, and put lots of water in there, right? Down your toilets and those RV black tanks, nothing but human waste and toilet paper, nothing else. And some of the hardcore people will say, well, even your toilet paper should go in a little trash can. That's not a bad idea.
That's what we do. Yeah,
Yep.
I have worried so much about that I mean, as gross as it may be, like that's what we, have a special can for that, and just to
Hmm.
save against that issue ever coming up.
Yeah, check the weather, right? If you're gonna get some rain or a little bit of wind, keep your awning rolled in. Or if you're not there, roll your awning in. I've got a number of calls where people say, "Oh, we went out for the day, came back, and now their awning fabric is flapping in the wind." No way.
Yeah. Well, we were down in Palm Springs, and I don't if you know anything about there get some of the craziest winds ever down there. And one time we came
Right.
back, and well, it was gone. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, we have dealt with that ourselves, and so yeah, put that awning in if you're going to be gone. That is definitely a big one.
Another thing that you almost never hear about, and it just baffles me, right? If you've got, unless you've got a high end trailer with disc brakes, pack your bearings. Have someone, if you can do it yourself, great. Have someone inspect your brakes, pack your bearings. You're going to spend a few $100, but that's to save you several hundred or even a couple $1,000. Or that's going to save you from driving down the road, having one of your wheels seize up, and then that tire stops spinning and you have a blowout, right?
Yeah.
Spend whatever it costs to get that done, two, three, four, $500 to save you lots of headache, right? You're going to take all four wheels off. You're going to disassemble the brakes. You're going to take the bearings out. You're going to pack them with new grease, get rid of the old grease, and hit the road. Another thing is balance your tires, right? Like, is that absolutely necessary? No, but it can save you headache.
Yeah.
With your tires, go
If
ahead, please.
depending on what, like if it's a travel trailer versus maybe a fifth wheel, that might be a much bigger issue. So,
Definitely.
depending even on the type of rig you have, some of those things, can be even more catastrophic if you don't pay attention to those.
Absolutely. Other things people can do for themselves. For your furnace, spend the 12, $15 for those little mesh screens to put over your furnace vents. All
Oh,
it takes is one.
I don't
You know what I mean?
have those. Yeah, no, I don't have those though, and that's
Well,
okay.
good. I mean, I mean,
Yeah,
not good
but yeah, that's just something you can just buy. Like, I didn't even know that they
on
had that.
Amazon.
Cool. That's awesome.
Amazon or one of those RV stores. You know why? Because mud daubers love the smell of propane, and so do certain spiders. Well, if they get inside your burn chamber and start building some nests, what's going to happen is you're going to have start having soot and smoke, and so where your exhaust comes out, you're going to start having black just gunk on the side of your camper. Worst case scenario, they build up so much web in there that your furnace no longer, or even your water heater, they no longer ignite. So you just have propane spewing out of there. Your furnace will try and turn on, it won't, and it'll shut off. Then you've got to either disassemble it yourself or pay someone like me to come take it apart, clean it. It's a 2 to 3 hour job. That's a work call going there. Why bet on that? But yeah, so that's for your furnace. Your air conditioner, get up there, clean your coils. You can go to Home Depot, buy a six, seven, $8 can of evaporator coil cleaner,
Okay.
and that'll extend the life of your air conditioner. Um, yeah, there's a number of things you can do for preventative maintenance to save yourself lots of headache and lots of money down the road.
Yeah, that's awesome. Another thing I was thinking of is that I currently don't have, but that my brother just ran into is having some slide issues because they had their slide out for a while, didn't have jack stands on the slide. So
Hmm.
certain little things like that, yeah, you just find over the years little tips and tricks that if you're gonna have your slide out for an extended amount of times, and I think maybe some of the newer ones are even coming out with stands that come down, aren't they as well? Some
I have not seen that yet. And you're right. If you're going to leave your slide out for an extended period of time, we're talking, 3, 6 months or more, those slide supports are not bad. You don't want to jack it up. You
yeah.
just want to take a little bit of the pressure off so they don't sag and you don't put too much pressure on. You know, again, it's a room floating out in midair being supported by like not even 2x6s, right? They rip them down to like 1x4s or 1.5x5 if you're lucky. There's not a whole lot keeping those slides in place. You remove 2 or 3 boards, that whole room just falls out of your camper. I've seen it. It's the wildest thing.
Yeah, that's gotta be a big fix. Have you ever gone to a job like that yet where you've gotten to it and you're like, "What is going on here?"
I walk away from jobs sometimes, right? And the RV world has come a long way from the old kind of bad stereotype of trailer parks where it's everything's just falling apart. But I never know what I'm walking into. And you never judge a book by the cover, right? But I get calls sometimes, and I can sometimes tell by the call, this is going to be interesting. Or I can't. And so everything sounds normal. I get there and it's a mess. I do walk away from jobs sometimes. I went to one time. The floors were ripped out, the ceilings were ripped out. They had so much water damage and they wanted help getting the slide in. And I just saw it as too much liability, both business wise and injury wise, that
Right.
I just, respectfully declined. Another one, you know, well, I won't go there, but
Yeah, and it can be crazy. For my episode that I'm recording this week was with a coworker that just recently he had a converted van that
hmm
recently burned down everything on the inside. He had a RV, like a rear view camera installed, and because he did the wiring for the original thing, but then he had a professional do it that night or a couple nights later, it all burned down. And you just see kind of the trouble that can happen, doing things yourself, or maybe with things that you should probably call a professional, for things like that. So I imagine some of the more major issues, it's better to call somebody like yourself, that knows what they're doing, whether it's propane, water, water issue, water leakage, especially like black water systems as well.
Yeah, and another thing, people like the most important thing is water is the number one enemy of RVs. Get up on your roof at least twice a year. Look at the seals. Do you see any little holes? Can you see, anything beyond what the caulking, the sealant that's there? If you're unable to get up on your roof, which that's happens sometimes, have a neighbor, have someone a little more agile get up there. That's the best thing you can do for yourself, right? Keep the exterior of your RV in good shape, and then the interior will follow. So I see too many times I get up there, whether it's an air conditioner call or I'm changing a roof vent, and it looks like someone hasn't touched that roof sealant in years.
Yeah.
And I take pictures. Whether people trust me or not right off the bat, that's fine. I show pictures. Say, hey, this is what you had me look at. This is your roof vent. Right next to that, there's this. You see that little hole? I can almost see inside your camper. You should address that or call me out sometime so I can take care of it so that your camper is good for the long haul.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of the most important questions. Even I was on the phone yesterday calling somebody about a fifth wheel that I was looking at, and the first question I asked was, "Do you know when the last time that the roof had been resurfaced?" That is the most important question I want to know, like before anything else, because from what I've seen over the years, is like that's the first thing I care about, want to check and address and see if there's been water damage, because you don't have to be around RVs or trailers long before you know that it is the number one like no go. Like, if I
Of
start
course.
having major issues for that, I'm like, nope, can't do
A
it.
quick story on that. I had a customer, very, very, very nice lady. We became friends after that. She called me to buy her first camper. She wanted an RV inspection. So we offer many different services. Repairs is our bread and butter, inspections, new RV owner training, and many other things. She called me to go out there, and it was going to be a basic one, right? Life safety, functionality, and roof. We're going to make sure that everything turns on. Your furnace gets hot, your air conditioner blows cold, your water heater turns on, your fridge gets cold. And we're going to look for water intrusion, water leaks. So I'm going to touch every corner inside, see if we don't find any soft, wet areas. I'll get up on the roof and see for any holes or total separation of trim and roof, right? I mean, some of the things I see is unreal. I get to this one camper, and I'm not even kidding, not even 15 minutes there. And 5 of those minutes were just setting up ladders and getting ready. 15 minutes. I stopped it. I called her and said, hey, please don't do this to yourself. And with inspections, we're always objective, right? Hey, this is that. But she had asked me, look, we're going to do this a little bit differently. Just, I need you to be a second set of eyes. I said, okay, I'll look at it as from a technician point of view. And I told her, I said, look, don't do this. We'll find you a good one. Let me give you some of your money back, and we'll find you a good one. And a couple weeks later, she found the one she wanted. She was happy as can be.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, when you don't, and I mean, I've been there before, when you don't know what you're looking for, when you haven't been there before, when it's your first RV, especially for people that are buying used. I mean, even for people buying brand new RVs, you need to know what you're talking about a little bit before going there, but especially if someone's buying used. I mean, if you can at all in any way, you need to hire somebody like yourself that can come out there with you, because the couple $100 or whatever it is will save you thousands down the line, and if you're going to make that investment in your life to live in, or even if it's just a camp, it's worth spending the little money now to save yourself a lot of headaches and time, and money drain later.
It is I mean, save lots of headaches, money. Um, you know, Imagine telling your family, "Hey, we got this brand new RV," and then before you know it, it's in a shop for repairs for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, or there's a lot of water leaks, and it can go downhill really quick.
Yeah, you definitely see those. It's just like a boat. I mean, you just chase it from one problem to the next half the time with
Hmm.
with these trailers. But if you learn a few things yourself and learn kind of to keep up on some of those things, then you can have somebody like yourself come out for the yearly maintenance, or the few things that maybe it really takes a professional to kind of check up over the years.
Sure. And absolutely, for major repairs, absolutely. And you know what? YouTube is not a bad resource. It's not, your go-to for everything. And anyone can put anything they want on there. So be careful with it. But you can learn a lot. There are a number of good channels on YouTube for lifestyle full-time RV families where they do really cute editing and this and that. And there are some very, very good channels where I learned from, where they are
Oh,
hardcore technicians. There's no frills about it. It's all, I mean, very techy. It can get in the weeds for a lot of people, but YouTube is not a bad resource. Just obviously have some good judgment about what you're listening to.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's awesome. I love to kind of see, people that are out there, just kind of making. I love how you pivoted. I love during COVID how you had just a family member say, "Hey, like look into this," and then when you did and saw that, hey, that's a need that can be filled. I just think that was really awesome, the way you kind of in a difficult time had decided to pivot your life. For others out there that may be interested in getting into that, you said the school was in Texas. Do you mind if I ask, like, how much is that school to go for like the 5 weeks for the full thing?
Sure. It's about it's about 1,500 a week. So the first week, and I don't want to misquote it, but the first week is RV maintenance basics, and you get your level one RV technician and RV inspector at the same time. You learn a lot, right? Even if you want to go full time or you just want to know enough to not have to call a professional every time, that first week will teach you a lot. And then
Okay.
the next 4 weeks are in-depth advanced training. I know that the last 4 weeks are 1,500 a week, and then the final test is three, four, $500. So let's say on the high side, training, food, hotels, all in about 8, 9 grand.
Okay. That seems, I mean, if you compare that to a lot of actually almost any trade schools out there that I can really
Right.
think of, that's on the low end. So I mean,
It's not bad.
yeah,
And the funny thing is, you had mentioned it earlier, residential or your typical electricians and plumbers, they don't want to touch RVs. And to them, the most of the stuff that I deal with, they can do it in their sleep, right? RV electrical, can it be a real pain chasing power? Absolutely. Is it straightforward? Usually not. But with the kind of stuff that skilled, trained electricians and plumbers do, like what we do, is pretty simple most of the time. But
yeah, that's true. Those systems are, I mean, I have no electrical training, but over the years I've had to at least do quite a few different things, chase a few different issues. And
mhm.
and if I came from like an audio engineering background, so it's a lot of chasing audio wires, things like that, circuitry like that. So I mean, to me, some of it makes a little more sense, but it is pretty straightforward in a lot of the RV systems.
You're used to chasing voltage, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, seriously. So yeah, but it always it does always scare you though, because even the electrical stuff I've done in there, and then of course with building the studio here, doing all the electrical myself,
Mm,
and
mhm.
having that friend's van burn down recently, it had me checking in my head, like thinking over every single outlet, like, did I do that one right? Like, should I take them all off to double check? But like,
Drive yourself nuts that way.
it really would, yeah.
But to go back to what you were saying, I appreciate what you said that about, how I pivoted during COVID. The whole world's coming to a halt. Everyone's shutting down, and not a fun time. And I did kind of, what was it? The month of April, right at the heat of it. I did quarantine that month, and I was working from home, and I hated it. I mean, I was working in my, you know, I hated that lifestyle. I love being out and doing things and meeting people and socializing, right? That's who I am. And so when the world's coming to a halt and businesses are closing left and right, and a lot of people are hurting, I decided, screw it. Let's throw everything on the line. Let's, run right into the fire. Let's go the complete opposite of what everyone's doing. And I took a chance, and it's paying off. And I would I would do it all over again. I mean,
Dude,
for a lot of people, like, what? You're opening a business right now during quote unquote global pandemic? And I looked him dead in the eye. Yeah, I am.
exactly. No,
I
well, yeah, I know
Call
you're
me
an
crazy. It's
entrepreneur.
all right.
That lets me know you're an entrepreneur. If you're thinking like that, that's the telltale sign when everyone's running this way. You're the one running that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Either I'm crazy or I'm onto something. Well, time will tell.
that is super true, man. Only time. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you coming on. I'd love to have you on again in the future anytime. For all those out there, your company, your website, your socials.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Again, I'm Anthony Montelongo. My company is Certified RV Solutions based in Ellijay, Georgia, and the North Georgia Mountain Range. You can find me at Certified RV Solutions or on my website, certifiedrvsolutions.com, Certified RV Solutions on Facebook, Google, Yelp, and hopefully by the time people watch this, I'll be on some more social medias. But it's a total pleasure and honor to be here. I love what you guys are doing. I'm right now at this point in time in the I guess the factory mainstream RVs, but these conversion vans, and what you're doing there, I think is awesome. You're giving a platform and kind of a behind the scenes look to anyone, to what you said, right? Tiny homes, whether it's houseboats or conversion vans or just that alternative living lifestyle. I think it's fantastic. And if you'd have me on sometime again, I'd be honored.
Dude, that would be awesome, man. Thank you so much, Anthony. You have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Peach Life Podcast. Next week, me and Martina are back for round 2 as we discuss some of the new and exciting adventures we are going on and what new things will be coming to our channel.